Good afternoon and welcome to NASA's Johnson Space Center. I am Chelsea Bayarte, here joined by our guest, NASA astronaut Anil Menon. He's getting ready to launch to the International Space Station on the Soyuz MS-29 mission in July alongside his two crewmates, Pyotr Dubrov and Anna Kikina. They're not joining us here today as they're back in Star City for training. But Anil here is going to be taking your questions in three ways. So we have reporters here in the room. We've got reporters on our phone bridge dialed in, and we're taking some questions pre-submitted on social media as well that we're ready for. If you're joining us on the phone, please go ahead and press *1 to enter the question queue. If your question has already been asked or you want to exit the question queue, please press *2. And I will go ahead and toss it to Anil for some opening remarks.
Thanks, Chelsea. I'm super excited for this opportunity to chat with everyone, and I'm super excited for this mission. It's been a lifelong dream of mine, and I will be launching on July 14th with Pyotr and Anya, who you mentioned, and we'll be up there doing some incredible science for 8 months on the space station. And I have to take an opportunity now and probably later to just thank the people who have supported me along the way, my wife, Anna, and my kids, as well as the broader NASA team that's just done an amazing job helping me with training and all the engineers that help build this incredible space station. So I'm just looking forward to this mission, and I'll toss it back to you for some of these questions.
Great, thank you, Anil. We are going to go ahead and start with some questions that are here in the room. We've got one right up front. Go ahead.
Gina and Sarah, you talked about 8 months of science, and we just had lots of remarkable science on Artemis 2.
Yeah.
So let's give science a shout out. What science are you excited about during your 8 months up there?
Oh, yeah. Some of the things that I'm excited about are growing crystals for microchips that will speed up the way we can do things like AI. That's just incredible opportunity and something that we need here on Earth. So NASA's space station is a test bed for that. It also might help stimulate the space economy that'll just keep this self-sustaining engine of space and create more opportunities for us. I'm a doctor, so I am super excited about anything related to health and medicine. There's a bioprinter that's printing cartilage that could be used for organs or things that people need as patients. There's also space-related medicine science, so ultrasounds that I do here in the emergency room that I'm looking forward to doing there in space. So those are just some of the cool things that we'll be doing.
All right, we'll take another question here in the room.
Yeah, hi, Eric Berger with Ars Technica. 2 questions. First one is, Kak u vas ruskim izikom?
Хорошо и tu toja, which means great. How's my Russian? I think it's good. Actually, my Russian teacher says not bad, not good. But I think yours is good.
Spasiba. I didn't understand a word you said. So, second of all, they have 8-month rotations down the Soyuz. I'm just wondering, was there anything different in the training, or you noticed as sort of affecting your crew, going from a 6-month to an 8-month rotation on a Soyuz?
I think we always walk into these missions somewhat prepared for any length of time. Frank Rubio, one of the astronauts, launched to space on a 6-month mission. He ended up spending 1 year there or longer and setting a U.S. record for length in space. So I'm going into this willing to spend and excited to spend more time there. I would say some of the subtle changes are some of the teams shift. And so you get used to working with certain people and you just learn to adapt. And that's one of the great things that they help teach us and train us. It's one of the intangibles of astronaut training that we do and pay a lot of attention to. So I'd say that's like a subtle shift that happened.
Great. So, Anil, I think we're going to switch over to our phone bridge and take some questions there. Our first one comes from Jonathan Seri with Fox News.
Chelsea, and thank you, Anil, for taking the time. Wanted to see if we could dive a little deeper in the medical research on the space station, given your background in emergency medicine. As humans look to travel farther and longer into space, the ability to treat them in space becomes all the more important. What excites you most about the research and the equipment that you're going to get your hands on in the coming months?
The equipment has just gotten that much more advanced to things that we thought were unthinkable, say 10 years ago. So I've been doing, I graduated from medical school in 2006 at Stanford and then went to residency in emergency medicine there. And around that time, I was spending a lot of time thinking about space, and you couldn't do diagnostics remotely. I worked on Mount Everest, for example, and we had no diagnostics other than a pulse ox up there. Now you can get an ultrasound and get a look at someone's heart, lungs, organs, and it's this big and it connects to an iPhone. So those kind of developments that's both fostered and pushed by space, but also the ground are huge. One of the things you mentioned, exploration missions or long-range missions, like a mission to Mars, or say when we set up the moon base and work there for a long period of time, you'll be very remote from telemedicine or someone you can just FaceTime and phone a friend and get some help. So you need to be able to do stuff autonomously. And we're starting to see some of these new large language models give you pretty decent first directions in terms of medical input. And so I think it'll be really cool to see that for future missions. The other thing we're doing is 3D printing things. Imagine you go to Mars and you don't have the a tool that you need. Dental is something that happens a lot, and it may gross some of the people out listening, but you did ask a medical question. But let's say you had to pull a tooth or fix a tooth and you didn't have the tool that you needed for that. You could nowadays just constructively manufacture that in space. And so that's a huge transformative change.
Thank you. I'm thoroughly grossed out now. We'll take another question here on our phone bridge. Will Robinson Smith with Spaceflight Now.
Hey, thanks, Chelsea, and good to talk with you, Anil. Going back to the Soyuz element of this, given that the station is set to retire in the next half a decade, you'll be one of the final NASA astronauts to fly the station on board Soyuz. I wonder, as you're preparing these final months of training, are you going to be doing anything special to mark, the beginning of the end of Soyuz flights up to the International Space Station? Thanks.
There is nothing particular I'm doing for the Soyuz. I hope. I kind of think the Russians themselves will have a better trajectory on where that is going. It certainly has a long and storied history. I'm just happy to participate in some of those traditions. As you probably know, since Yuri Gagarin launched to space, there's a lot of traditions that people do to kind of carry on that inaugural launch, and some of those things involve signing the same ledger that he used, sitting at the same table and paying homage to that history. So one of the cool things is just being part of that cultural experience. I will, of course, take as many lessons as I can from just flying on a different vehicle. I have a lot of experience with Dragon, having worked at SpaceX for 4 years, and it's an amazing vehicle. This is just a different perspective, and I think the more perspectives you can have, the better you can input into the future when you develop new things. And we're developing new things. We've got so many vehicles coming online that are going to put us on the moon and start these moon bases. And as we start developing things that go to Mars, I think all these inputs are important inputs to do that successfully.
We'll take another question here on our phone bridge. Robert Perlman with CollectSpace.com.
Hi, thanks. Artemis 2 attracted a very large audience of the public paying attention to what NASA has been doing, some of them not having been engaged for some time. Have you thought about how you want to try to engage the public and keep them interested while you're on board the space station? Do you have any particular activities you want to do for public outreach?
Yeah, I think I'm really excited to lean into some of the social media opportunities that are out there and just open up the daily life of what it's like to live in space. There's more people joining us in space with Blue Origin launching. private passengers, Axiom, Vast, Voyager. There's just so many companies now and different people that are putting people in space. I want to share some of that. And I think I've seen that, and I've been excited when those people have flown and just getting a little more insight into things. And I'm excited to share that through the different tools that pop up along the way. And NASA's leaning into that by giving us things like iPhones where it's more easy for us to open up that window into space. And so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Personally, I always liked what people like Don Pettit and Matt Dominic have been able to do, is just take like incredible technical photos and lets me live vicariously. So I spent an insane amount of time trying to learn it, and we'll see if I can also deliver on that level. But I'm also open to your feedback. This could be a two-way question and answer if you have any advice.
So you mentioned social media.
Yeah.
So why don't we take a couple that were submitted on social media? So Mrs. Howard on Instagram asks, what are some of your personal values that guide your work as an astronaut?
That's a great question. One of the most surprising and fun trainings that I've done at NASA was getting together with the other astronauts and just defining our personal values and sharing them with one another. It really helps you understand your teammates. And so when I did that, I centered on truth and love as my two defining values. And so truth is, I'm always trying to seek to get to the right answer. And when I get it, I make sure that I clearly communicate that. And I always try to do things with the best intent. And sometimes, in a team, in daily situations, that may not come through. So I make a point of kind of explaining that and sharing that with others, my team beforehand. And I think that's helped us with the crews that I'll be working with there, Anna, Piotr, Crew 12, Crew 13, really understand each other and knowing that we're approaching all these challenges in space and communal living from really a good spot, trying to help each other and move forward.
So Greta on Instagram asks, what are the personal items that you'll be taking to space, and what will they remind you of?
Well, I have a 5 and 8-year-old at home. And so I'm looking for ways to connect with them, because when I FaceTime with them, they would give me about 5 seconds of attention, and then they quickly start playing random things or messing with the phone. So I'm bringing up some toys, some Lego figurines that will remind me of them, and maybe I can keep them engaged for 10 seconds. We'll see. Our black German Shepherd that we had passed away recently, and so as a zero-G indicator, I was going to bring a little stuffy up on the Soyuz to remind us of her.
That's so nice. So May on Instagram wants to ask, what has been the hardest part of preparing for life on the space station that people don't usually see?
I think the thing that I've learned the most is space station is a small environment where you're with a group of people that you're working with, but you're there for 6 months, 8 months, which is a long period of time. So a lot of the technical stuff is easy to learn. If you work really hard, you can study and you can learn that. It's just like your college class or science class or high school. The hard part is the teamwork, and that sounds like maybe it was the easy part in the beginning, but I think it actually subtly becomes the hard part. So it's when you're 24/7 in a small space together, and something challenging comes up, the way you respond to that. If someone gives you feedback about something that you could do better, like taking that in a positive way and trying your best to change that, those are all things that I've learned to work on, become better at, and that I hope will benefit my time on space station. And I think those are the things that are just easy to overlook. And honestly, now looking back, if I had learned those skills earlier in my life, I think I would have benefited a lot then too. So they never get stale or old.
So we're talking a lot about your mission, about your crewmates.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about your mission patch?
Oh yeah. Well, it's Expedition 75. So that's just an incredible number. We've been doing the space station for 26 years, 75 expeditions, and that really stood out to me. So we wanted to highlight that, just how much we've been using space station for science and as a stepping stone to these next missions, the moon and the moon base. So we put that there. But what was also important to us all was just the connection to Earth. And so the rest of the patch really symbolizes that. It's nature, the mountains, which symbolizes Earth to us. There's the cupola, and the lines are just connecting the two. So we will all be sad to leave our families and communities and relationships on Earth, but we'll have a great team up there to work with, but we will always be in touch, and we will always want to be reminded that. We know when we come back, we'll be able to rejoin them, and we'll be happy about that.
Going back to our social questions, Jobel on X asks, as a physician heading to the space station, what medical situation in microgravity do you think would be the most challenging to manage in real time?
Oh man, you're opening up the Pandora's box of medical things. I think we've done a lot of medical codes in terms of training, and a code is when someone loses their pulse. And I work in the ER, and sadly, we have to deal with this. And on Earth, you really use your gravity and weight to do things like CPR. That's a lot harder in space, and we try to practice it as much as we can. In the environments we can, but doing that in space would be really hard because you have to strap yourself down to secure yourself, or you have to use the ceiling to push down and do something like CPR. Plus, there's the stress of it's in some ways easier to take care of people you're not as close with, but if you spend a lot of time with folks, there's a certain amount of stress with that, and there's a lot of chaos in that in the ER I've learned to control. But in space station with things floating around, I'm sure it's going to be a lot more challenging. So maybe a heavy topic, but I think that would be the most challenging if that were to occur.
So moving on to some other aspects of your mission, Sarah on Instagram wants to know, do you plan on doing a spacewalk? And if so, are you excited for it?
Oh, all of us are trained to do spacewalks. If I'm lucky enough to get the opportunity, I would be overjoyed to do it. One of my favorite parts of training during astronaut candidate school was getting into the MBL and doing training for a spacewalk. And then afterwards, anytime I get the opportunity, I jump at it. It's a combination of physical effort plus some technical knowledge plus really kind of working with the ground and space, and so it's like to a lot of us it's the ultimate kind of convergence of all the fun Type A challenges that NASA has to offer. So yeah, I would love to do it.
Sounds great. So we're going to switch back over to our phone bridge. We have a question from David Curley with Full Throttle.
Thank you very much. Doc, a couple of questions. You've kind of become a space family. Did you and Anna ever, 10 years ago, talk about let's both go to space? And then a second question is about your profession, and we had a little emergency in space. As an emergency doc going to space, what did you learn from that incident, and what are you hoping to help NASA prepare for the future?
Yeah. So in terms of me and Anna, I would say there was a 0% chance we thought this would happen. But it does go to show that, like, if you keep working at something, you should never count yourself out. It is possible. It also goes to show that if you're interested in being a part of NASA, going to space, there's a lot of different ways this could work out. Like, there isn't a set course. Sometimes you just move forward, get into something you're interested in, and keep working at it. And if you work hard and consistently over time, like, the results can be completely shocking, as we've been absolutely shocked by this. When Anna and I were working at SpaceX, I would say that we thought, I wanted to be an astronaut, but I thought that door was closed because I had tried and had been unsuccessful at an interview. Anna did not have it on her radar, and we just determined we liked working in space. It was really quite a pleasant surprise that in December of 2021, we both actually found out simultaneously. So it's kind of like that theory of the universe that the most strange thing that could happen is destined to happen. I don't know, but it was a strange outcome. In terms of medicine, I've always thought about. So the second part of your question, I've always thought about these long duration missions like Mars. It might take 3 years to get there, or the lunar base where you're actually working on the moon, which will be an opportunity for a lot of people in the future. There's going to be medical things happening. We've been lucky this far that we've seen so few, I think. And if you were to just take a group of people like the people in this room and you were to stay here for 3 years, even if you weren't in space, some sort of medical event would probably happen just as sheer force of probability. So it's important to just always be prepared of those things and to think and plan for them as we kind of open the doors for more and more people to fly to space. And even more challenging and incredible missions. I think medicine will be a huge part of that. So I'm super excited for all the physicians or people who are going into medical school and are remotely interested in any adjacent field in health that have space in their mind, because I think it'll be completely blown open as a new opportunity and field. So I think that was my huge takeaway.
Thank you for that question. We're going to head back to our here in person in the room with Gina.
Hi. We've watched certain, Matt Dominic and Don Pettit, their photography was just spectacular. And then all the takeaways from the Artemis II mission. What responsibility do you feel as one of a few hundred people who are going to get this adventure to bring the rest of us along when you're on space station to explain what's happening and to draw people into your mission?
I feel a tremendous responsibility. As someone who dreamed about this from 6 years old, I was inspired by this IMAX movie, The Dream is Alive. I saw these people on a movie working in space, and it got me into science and medicine. So I attribute all the people I helped as a doctor to that event, to NASA, to the astronauts that were sharing that story with us and the filmmakers. And I think one of our huge gifts at NASA is to inspire people into science and space, and it worked for me. I see it working for other kids, and one way to do that is to share these things. And so I've spent a lot of time with NASA photographers, Nora Moran, helping me with portrait photography, helping me understand the camera better than the assigned amount of classes, really thinking about the whole process and how to share it, and talking to Matt and Don. I went to Don's house, and he explained to me the nuances of, as you can imagine, of the science behind the cameras. And so I'm grateful for what they've done. I kind of they set a huge bar, and so I'll try my best. So that's the best I can do. But I do feel that that's the driver to try to do that, and I'm looking forward to it.
We'll take another question here in the room.
You graduated from medical school about 20 years ago. Can you talk a little bit about your journey from that to SpaceX and what you did there, and sort of your decision to ultimately try a couple times to become an astronaut?
Yeah, I was always interested in space, but I needed to find something that I just loved to do, and I love to do medicine, emergency medicine, and I guess the space part, the part that space and medicine shared was the wilderness medicine. I grew up in Minnesota. I worked on Mount Everest, and it was just being in a new environment and doing improvisation in medicine, and I felt like it was a place that I loved being, I was good at, and was helpful to people. So that was my attraction of kind of combining those things. And and that took me to just finding something in space. And so when I started, it was so hard to figure out where the opportunities were. Like, I didn't even know there was doctors working at NASA. I just loved doing medicine. And I remember, no one would do this today, but I remember cold calling an astronaut who didn't know, and just asking him about it. And just imagine, like, a 20-year-old me just calling and being like, hey, how do you do this? I think, like, looking back, I'm sure it was like an awkward conversation, but I was thankful he picked up the phone. Lucky they didn't even have caller ID then. So now it'd probably be an email, but that's like what you had to do then. Now you can. There are some like really constructive pathways to go from medical school. You can just Google them online or use any search engine, and it'll tell you some of these great opportunities NASA has available for physicians or healthcare providers. And then this kind of the similar thing happened for SpaceX. There weren't a lot of commercial jobs to work at, and I was at NASA. And it popped up as an opportunity, like they were going to launch Demo 2, and they asked for, they needed a physician to help with that. And no one had really done it, and I couldn't talk to anybody. And at that time, I was married, had a house in Houston, just had a kid, and both my wife and I had a solid, stable job at NASA. And we had to decide that it was worth taking the risk to go take this chance. And I think that's one of my like life takeaways, is that sometimes it's worth the risk to kind of gamble on what you're really passionate about, because it leads to some exciting opportunities. And so we did it. We both moved out there to California, and it was transformative for both of our lives.
I love that. We're going to hop on over to our phone bridge for a question from Will Robinson Smith with Spaceflight Now.
Hey, thanks for allowing another round of questions here. Anil, you'll be just the fourth member of your astronaut class that flies head up into space, and had the opportunity to meet Chris Williams up there. I wonder if you have anything special planned in mind for the two flies that will be on orbit, and what advice did you get from your other classmates that have been to station and back? Thanks.
Yeah, well, Jack told me to grow a mustache. If you've seen pictures of him, he's got quite an amazing one. But, you know, I like to play basketball, but I never challenged Michael Jordan to a competition. Yeah, I'm excited to see them. It's super special to be up there with the two of them. Chris and I overlapped a tremendous amount in Russia, doing some training for the Soyuz, and Jack and I did a lot of the ASCAN NBL training together. So through that, we've kind of got to know each other really well. And so I'm excited to just learn from them. Chris is like an amazing photographer, and astrophysicist, and I'm excited for him to share stuff. And Jack, we're going to overlap a ton. And maybe we'll get lucky and be able to do one of these spacewalks together. If not, we can certainly just do operations on station, and it'll be great. You're making me think I should probably bring them a last-minute gift or something. I'm also taking ideas for that. So, yeah. There we go.
It'll be exciting for the flies. So let's switch over to some social media questions. I have a small batch here that are all related to mental health, if we could go into that topic.
Yeah.
So Miley on Instagram asks, what are you scared about, and what are you not scared about?
Yeah. I think I had the chance of being a family member for a launch, and I just learned so much from that. My wife launched to space, and I feel super cool, calm, and collected about me launching to space, and I felt that way even before my life launched, so I didn't think it was a big deal. And those are the things that often we underestimate about ourselves. And what really surprised me was how difficult it was and how nervous I was about her flight. I guess in hindsight it shouldn't have been so surprising, but I think that's the hardest part because my wife was away. It was like challenging for the kids. I was worried about her. It was like a whole culmination of feelings at the same time. And I think when I think about what I'm most worried about going to space, it's probably just the impact and the challenges there. So I'm trying to do as much as I can to be supportive and figure out how I can help her. So I really am grateful for having the opportunity of being a family member and of a loved one that launched to space.
And May on Instagram wants to ask, how will you stay connected to these friends and family while you're in space?
Yes, I've been thinking about that a tremendous amount. Because we asked about values before, and so my values are a bit different than our relationship values. But Anna and I did the same thing because we found it so powerful to do our own values, and our relationship values are honesty and connectedness. And so staying connected is super important for us. And so we're going to try a couple things, and we'll see how it works. Luckily, I've had a lot of practice traveling for training and trying to get it to work. But some of the things that have worked are just having a regular schedule that we can do a phone call. And luckily, there is voice over IP there. So I'm going to try to time it in the morning when the kids go to school, when they're present and excited and not tired or angry at us. and then I'm going to try some asynchronous stuff, like just send them some videos. And then we have a way that we can journal and just kind of look at what our days have been like, so we can see that asynchronously, essentially read each other's journals, and see what our lives are up to, just so that we feel present together. And then I've got a couple surprises, which I won't share right here, but I'll try to surprise Anna here and there and the kids with some things on Earth.
I hear she's a scrapbooker.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Is that something in work?
Oh man, you can't ruin my surprise.
Oh, I didn't know that was the surprise. Sorry to the Menon family.
I guess it's that obvious.
So talking about, okay, you've gone on your mission, you've connected with your family during your mission, and now post-mission, Aza on Instagram wants to know, do astronauts ever get post-mission depression?
Yeah, good question. I do think it's because I'm in medicine, I'm interested in these things, and I do think we value the support we get from NASA, behavioral health. And so they have psychologists, psychiatrists, and they kind of help us think about teams, but also about flying to space and returning from space. And I think there's such a change that you're getting separated from some strong relationships and teams, and you're transitioning, and that's challenging. And then the other challenge is, after 8 months, your family has fell into a new routine that doesn't include you, and somehow you got to figure out how to plug in, and you can't just go back to where you started. So you just got to figure out where they are, and then listen, and then figure out what that new future will look like. And so I think those two areas are the areas of challenge, and it probably doesn't go smoothly for everyone. I don't expect it to go smoothly for me, but I think being aware of them helps, getting support helps, and then just trying your best and having the right intention.
We'll take some questions here in the room. Gina?
Because I sort of just did the math, 8 months, Halloween, which you said was a big deal for you at one point in Russia, Thanksgiving, Christmas, probably birthdays and anniversaries. Do you have a fairy godfather here who's going to take care of that stuff for you while you're gone?
I've enlisted a whole army of fairy godfather or mothers, fathers, and others. Yeah, yeah. So 10th year anniversary, 50th birthday. We got a lot coming up, as well as Christmas. As you said, and Halloween's fantastic because my kids are 5 and 8, and so I think that's prime time for Halloween. They're just ridiculously cute when they dress up. So I think doing some stuff on the ground, and then I'm planning to celebrate those with Crew 13 up there, and so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, we'll definitely have a few costumes or cakes or surprises to be a part of that.
We'll take another question here on our phone bridge. David Curley with Full Throttle.
Thank you for a second question. I appreciate it. Another two questions, please. One, your 4-year-old, who is now an 8-year-old, asked when is Mama going to become an astronaut when you were named an astronaut. What does he think about you going to space? And the second is NASA person, SpaceX person going up on the Soyuz. What have you learned? Did you want to go up on the Dragon, or what kind of experience has it been figuring out Soyuz? Thank you.
Yeah, let's see. The first question about the kids when I'm going up into space, I would like to say our kids are super pumped, but I think they've seen a lot of space, and my son's more interested in being a paleontologist, and my daughter in being a police officer. So I don't know how excited they actually are. It's hard to tell. Though it's starting to dawn on them. I can kind of pick up a couple questions. They're like, oh, Dad's going to miss our birthday. Can we celebrate it in May? And so we're going to do that. So I do think that it's somewhere in their consciousness, and I like to believe that that they're excited about it. But they have seen a lot of space. I'm just being honest. In terms of Soyuz and SpaceX, I would be happy to launch to space on it. I dreamed about this since I was 6. So I'm happy to fly on any opportunity to fly to space. It wouldn't matter, suborbital, orbital. I'm overjoyed that this is an opportunity, and I get to spend that much time there. I think it's super exciting for medicine and things like that. And going back to what I said before, they're radically different design concepts for layouts, displays, all the technical engineering factors that go into them. And the cool thing about seeing the Soyuz so firsthand is just to compare it to my Dragon experience. The cool thing about flying on a Dragon, if that were my opportunity, would be to just share it with my wife and the incredible friends and engineers that I met there during my time there that built that thing. And I think that those would be the different perspectives I'd have. So it was a win-win.
We'll take another question here in the room.
Can you talk a little bit about how Anna has been a partner to you through this, and sort of her excitement for you of going to space? And obviously she's been there in orbit, not the ISS, but just kind of talk to her sort of what it's been like, having a spouse who's been to space and has now become an astronaut at NASA as well. Just sort of, talk me through that.
Yeah, I think I've gotten a lot from her. I think we're complementary, which is really cool. And working together has been awesome for our relationship. Sometimes people ask, are you too much in each other's space? But really, when we got married, we got this book. It was called His Needs, Her Needs. And to summarize it, it was just if you can find more things to intersect each other's lives, that's good for your relationship. And we've found a lot of that through work. So it's really cool to just work together and get to know each other in those environments and just spend time together when you're so busy and life's kind of changing and chaotic, as it is for everybody. And so I think those touch points have been super important. But I've also, as an engineer, just learned a lot from her. When we were working at SpaceX, she was the lead of crew operations, and I had to design the medical side and some of the off-nominal landing sites of some of the Dragon procedures, which included coding and some of the crew capabilities. And she was really good at it. She had done 20 of those, and I was doing my first one, and she could walk me through some of the challenges there, or just way to communicate and interact there, and we could kind of just learn together. So it was an opportunity to just really informally bounce some things off and become better. And I think it's hard to say if I would have even succeeded there without her help. I feel like I wouldn't have. And so I'm super thankful for what I've been able to learn from her there. Now that we've come here, and we're working. There's like little tidbits that I've gone through the astronaut training that I want to pay it back, and so. I think that's like integrating with some of the T-38 flying or doing the NBL runs. Right now, they're doing flight training, and she just did water survival school at Pensacola on Monday. And those are things I'd been through, and I can kind of give her some of the things that I've learned, and it's great to learn from each other. And I think that's good for any relationship.
So, Anil, I know we've talked already about this Expedition 75 patch.
Yeah.
But what can you tell us about the MS-29 patch?
Oh, yeah.
Here it has a tiger on it.
There it is. That's right. Which makes me think of "Eye of the Tiger," which is a great song. But maybe it'll be part of my launch music. But that said, that is not what drove this patch. Pyotr, who has been to space for a year and is the commander of the Soyuz, is from a region, Khabarovsk, in the eastern side of Russia, where that tiger is their like animal, and so he thought it was important to pay homage to that, and so but I love it. Like, so I was thinking about it. That would have been just a great patch to do anyway. So when you can get that to happen, that's awesome. And then Anna is from Siberia. Beautiful place that I've been able to visit, and she has the cat there that is native to that. It's in the upper left-hand corner. You can see that. And then otherwise, we just tried to symbolize what we were doing. You can see the Soyuz there and Roscosmos. And next to my name is the one thing that I added, which was cloverleaf for good luck.
Very cool. Let's just take one more question here on Instagram from Alexander and Frank, who ask, can you give us advice for those who want to become astronauts?
Yeah. I'd probably go on for this one for a long period of time, but I can speak from my experience, some things that work for me, and also just one big picture item. And the big picture item is, if you want to be an astronaut right now, it is probably the most exciting, best time to like be interested in it. The field's changing radically. There are people, multiple trillion-dollar companies looking to put data centers in space, put a footprint on the moon. NASA's next step is to open up those opportunities for those companies. So there is just so much interest in doing that. That means there's just going to be a lot of opportunities for people interested in that. So it's hard to lay out a pathway. Just walk in that direction, and if you have a true interest in it, and you start moving towards something that you're interested in, you will be able to do it, and believe in yourself as you do that. What I've learned through my life that's worked for me in heading in this way is just really defining that what is it I want to do? For me, it was medicine, and then just being dedicated to it. The amount of stuff you can accomplish seems, it can seem daunting at times, but if you put in a lot of work over a lot of time, it will be amazing what you can achieve over a decade or two as you move towards that, and it'll set you up for that kind of opportunity. And then sometimes it's not always easy. So I think forgive yourself, take on challenges, take risks, and if it gets a little uncomfortable, that might be a good sign that you're working through something and you're figuring it out. This has not been an easy pathway for me to arrive here, and it's been a winding one. But I think just finding that passion and following it led me here. So. Continue asking those kind of questions as you get further and further to further define it. And I'm excited for you.
That's great. And thank you to our social media community for submitting those questions. We'll take one more on the phone from Manuel Manzanti with Exploración Espacial.
Thank you so much. Hi, Anil. How are you? Manuel Manzanti, Exploración Espacial. Anil, you've been working for NASA and SpaceX, training crews for missions on Dragon, I wonder how difficult is distance in order to create a bonding with your crewmates. Like both your crewmates are in Russia right now. I know that we've been doing this for years, but does it make it difficult to go there? How many times do you need to go there to train? They need to come here to train. How harder it is to have a physical distance between your crewmates when you need to create a real bonding between them, with them?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not just saying this, we have a great crew, and I'm excited to fly with them. So we have managed to create a very good relationship where we can have open conversations, difficult conversations, fun with each other. I credit some of the NASA trainers for doing that. Michael Bednaro was someone that helped design our schedule, and anytime he could find overlap, that something we were doing something work and critical, he pushed for it, and that was transformative because we were spending time together and we were doing challenging things, and that was helpful. So it's like how you take advantage of that time was super important, and we did. We prepped as much as we could, did the thing, debriefed afterwards, and just getting into those habit patterns was super important. We were also able to be backups to Chris Williams, and that was a good time spent together. I realized that Pyotr was really good at the Rubik's Cube and like sci-fi movies like me. and Anna was like this incredible ping pong athlete, and I didn't stand a chance of winning any matches. But I'm just kind of joking, but you through that time, you do like maximize the opportunities, and we did it, and like I'm super excited about doing it. And I think when we had time, we really leaned into those opportunities to debrief. And when you realize you can have difficult conversations with people, you realize you're a good crew.
All right, Anil, those are all of the questions that we had. Thank you so much for taking the time. We're so excited to follow along with your mission. Are there social media channels we should be looking out for as you get ready to launch?
Yeah, I'll be on X sharing some of the photos, and we'll also have like some great videos on Instagram, and also, of course, the NASA channels. And yeah.
Great. We look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.